Here is Earth. Water covers 70% of our planet, and it is easy to think that it will always be plentiful. However, fresh water, the stuff we drink, bathe in, irrigate our farms with, is incredibly rare. Only 3% of the world's water is fresh water, and 2/3 of that is tucked away in frozen glaciers or otherwise unavailable for our use. Water scarcity already affects 4 out of every 10 people.
Indonesia is known for its beautiful beaches and cities, but half of the population in Indonesia is in poverty and does not have access to clean water.
Indonesia is the 4th most populous country in the world and Southeast Asia's largest economy. With 258 million inhabitants, 27 million Indonesians lack safe water, and 51 million lack access to improved sanitation facilities. Nearly 70% of Indonesia's 5,600 rivers are polluted. Only 3% of the country's waterways meet clean water standards.
Every year, around 150,000 children die in Indonesia before they can celebrate their 5th birthday. In most cases, they're from preventable causes linked to diarrhea and pneumonia. Many people living in the capital of Indonesia still rely on river water and wells for washing and drinking due to the lack of infrastructure. The groundwater in Jakarta is contaminated by unclean septic tanks. There is no government laws to regulate chemical runoff and waste from factories and other businesses. Most corporations pour their chemical waste and trash into rivers because it's cheaper than disposing it properly. And due to the increasing population there's been a rapid spread of plastic containers and wrappings, flooding rivers and other water sources. The Citarum River, located in Java, is one of the most polluted rivers in the world, with high levels of dangerous chemicals around the industrial zones. About 27 million people rely on the river for irrigation, drinking water, and other daily needs, with nearly 80% of the capital, Jakarta's, supposedly clean water sourced from that river. Although millions of dollars have been poured into an attempt to clean the river before, a lack of coordination, maintenance, and enforcement has let the problem persist.
Plastic is also being burnt in the city, meaning nearby children are inhaling toxic fumes. Authorities turned a blind eye to this because it's a way of getting rid of some of the waste.
I am from Indonesia. I grew up in Jakarta. There's always trash in the river and there's always trash in the ocean. We have to boil our water before we drink it. You couldn't even use the tap water to brush your teeth. We all have to buy water, safe water. It's not that we could just get it from an open river or something like that.
I grew up in Bandung, a dirty river full of brown waste and anything that are disgusting. So the nature is not a good place for the ecosystem and the people living around, and the children around the house also cannot play inside the water. We can ask the students to start campaigning about how they need good nature to nurture them.
Indonesians don't really care about their environment, and perhaps because of their level of education, their awareness of what environmental damage can do, they tend to abuse natural resources like the rivers, ocean, or lakes around them. Over here in Indonesia, people dump everything in bodies of water, anything from household trash to human waste. You can find them in rivers, especially those near densely populated area in big cities.
I mean, the root of the issue is actually the corruptions, because a lot of things are unregulated. I mean, they probably have the environmental law, but nobody's really running it properly. Yeah, unlike in the US, I think Indonesia water infrastructure is still quite poor. You say clean water, but if that source of water comes from river that has a lot of Indonesia, not all water that is supplied by the government are clean water. They have colors in it.
3 worldwide charities that help with the issue of water are Charity Water, Splash, and Planet Water Foundation. Charity Water works to help benefit the community by bringing them ways to transport clean water into their homes. They donate yellow canteens to every family. The charity Splash educates children about effective hygiene practices and trains local organizations and businesses to properly maintain toilets. And the last charity, Planet Water Foundation, serves schools with filtration systems called aqua towers. These aqua towers trap bacteria, viruses, and other harmful matter that bring illnesses to children. There are many ways for people around the world and residents of Indonesia to help combat the problem with water. People who live in Indonesia can use lifesaver bottles. These water bottles are able to purify the contaminated river water and make it safe to drink. We can also start using carbon dioxide cleaning and technology. Usually 40,000 gallons of water is used to build a car, but by replacing carbon dioxide, we can save much more water with it. We can also shower with ultra efficiency. Instead of waiting for a couple of minutes to reach your desired temperature, you can only wait 30 seconds and save more water by doing so. We can also install atmospheric water generators. These generators create clean water from the air. And lastly, we can use water filtration straws. These are similar to the lifesaver bottles. They are able to purify the water and make it safe to drink.
Chances are, if you're thirsty, you can stroll over to your sink and get instant clean tap water. If you need to shower, hot water is readily available. You've never had to worry about the privacy or cleanliness of sanitation. However, 844 million people around the world lack basic access to safely managed drinking water, and 2.3 billion people lack safely managed sanitation services. Large amounts of available water are wasted, polluted, and unsustainably managed. In fact, every 90 seconds, a child dies due to a water-related disease. And every year, 1 million people are killed from water, sanitation, and hygiene-related diseases. The global water crisis not only presents itself in the form of a health crisis, but also a women's crisis. Women and girls may not get the chance to go to school as they spend hours a day collecting water. In addition, young girls traveling long distances alone to collect water face an increased risk not only of physical injury, but also of rape and sexual assault. Specifically, India, the second most populated country, and predicted to be the world's most populated country in the next few decades, faces extreme water problems. With the population 3 times the size of the United States, it faces the problem of providing water for a rapidly growing population of 1.3 billion people. While over the past few decades, improvements have been made in the availability of safe water, corrupt water privatization has limited who has access to it. India relies largely on aquifers for water. However, the groundwater is often being used faster than it can be replenished. Even in areas of India that have a fairly wet climate, rainwater is displaced or dried up due to lack of rain catchment programs. In addition, water that would otherwise be good for drinking is contaminated with both bio and chemical pollutants, and over 21% of the country's diseases are water-related. Moreover, only 1/3 of India has access to traditional sanitation. Here from the University of Oxford is Professor Grace Constantini to comment on India's water crisis.
India has made significant changes to improve their water crisis, but with 52% of the population still living in poverty, a large portion of the population faces water shortages. Each year, about 600,000 Indian children die of various causes due to the toxic water. The most extreme water shortages usually occur in slums. Slums are areas inhabited by poor people who cannot afford the basic necessities people in developed countries often take for granted. One of the most extreme slums in India and even the world is Dharavi.
Dharavi is one of the world's largest slums. It is on the outskirts of Mumbai, made up of 12 neighborhoods including a separate Muslim neighborhood with no maps or road signs. Its population is 10 times as dense as the rest of Mumbai.
Dharavi is overpopulated and filled with toxic waste. 1/3 of the people living there have no access to clean drinking water. You'll find cases of 15 families all sharing one tap that works for a mere 2 hours a day. People who live there do not own the property they live on. In addition, the draining systems are extremely poor, which causes major flooding issues during the monsoons. Their access to toilet facilities is so minimal that nearly everyone has to go into the river, further contaminating the water. They have around one toilet for every 1,440 people.
These tragic conditions spread disease and narrow down the amount of drinking water available in Dharavi. There are 4,000 cases of diseases reported every day from the water, including cholera, diphtheria, tuberculosis, diarrhea, and typhoid. People living in slums such as Dharavi neither have access to nor can afford expensive doctor visits to cure water-related diseases.
The organization SNEHA works with women who are victims of domestic violence. Sunita D'Souza married for love when she was 14, but her new in-laws did not like her, so they beat her.
Hi Sunita, how are you?
I'm okay.
Can I ask you a few questions?
Yes.
How was life living in an unsafe environment?
It was really hard for me, especially growing up, because my whole family would beat me. And now that I'm married, my husband's family beats me too.
How does the water scarcity affect your life?
When I was younger and now, I would have to walk long distances to get the water, and even when I got the water, it would be dirty, so my whole family would get sick, and that took a real toll on us.
How did you find the SNEHA?
My neighbor recommended me to visit their local office, and after 2 years of visiting them, I was put in really bad situations. So I tried to poison myself, and when I went to the hospital, they helped me recover by supporting me and giving me everything I needed.
Do you have any future goals?
Yeah, my future goal is to be a Sanghini, which is a partner of the organization, and I want to help people who were put in the same situation as I was.
Thank you, Sunita.
I'm here in Dharavi with 27-year-old tour guide Balaji. May I ask you some questions?
Yes.
What did you do to support your family?
I got my first job as a salesperson selling non-electric water filters to people living in the slums. When I had this job, I learned 2 things. I learned how to sell things, and I also learned that I was drinking unclean water. After my first job, which was that, I also got to be a pizza delivery boy. But I worked really long hours because it was the only work I could find.
Can you tell me about your childhood?
I was really lucky, unlike other kids in the slum, because I lived next to a railway, so which means I had more space than other people. I was also able to attend school in the mornings in one of the slum schools that takes place in a very closed space.
Do you have a family?
I do have a family. I live with my mother, my wife, my son Perry, and my daughter Padma, and we live in a small slum house in Dharavi.
Thank you for sharing your story.
You're welcome.
WaterWall's mission is to improve access to clean water for underserved communities. They conducted an assessment of the water in the slum of Dharavi in order to investigate the water-related issues facing the community and find potential solutions using new technology. Their product recommendation is to install a purifier valve on the water supply connection tap. Their strategy design is to improve water filtration technology, distribute through different channels like community-based organizations, and then direct market into slum conditions like household, schools, and institutions. By donating to WaterWall, we can make a difference in India's water crisis.